Now we're going to go through ECG and monitor familiarization. What we have here is the LifePack 12. First of all, there are three components, or three packs. On the left side we have the monitor side, and that has the SpO2, the CO2 and ECG. On the right side we have the AED leads, and on the back here we have the non-invasive blood pressure cuff. Cool. Now what we're going to do first is turn on the LifePack, and simply by pressing the on button, it'll switch on. Now the default mode that this LifePack 12 comes to is the AED mode. Now we want to switch to the manual mode simply by pressing advisory, use the dial, scroll over to yes, and in fact we're in manual mode. Cool. The next thing we want to do is check the batteries at the back, and simply, first of all we want to look at the top part of the screen, and it's got two monitors here that illustrate there's battery 1 and battery 2, and as we can see both batteries are full. Likewise, if we want to change any batteries in the back, you just turn to the back of it, pull it apart, replace it with a new battery, and then ensure that the battery level is adequate. The next you want to check is if you have enough printing paper, simply by opening this compartment, like so, open it up, and as you can see, we have plenty of paper. Now that everything's been checked, we can proceed with one more important check, and that's simply doing the user test. Now we're going to go to options, scroll across to user test, using the dial, click on user test, and that's going to produce a printed receipt. Now that our user test has come back with a pass, and due to our paper printing, we can proceed with testing the defib. Now simply, we've got the lead here, and then we've got the test lobe here, so simply you want to connect it up like so, connect it, and also have it in a good position to test. So to test the defib, we simply click charge. Now that's charging up. Bearing in mind that this is live energy, so make sure you have your PP on. Cool. Now that it's been charged up, now we can proceed with producing a shock, and simply using the button shock. Cool. Now energy has been delivered. Now we're going to do a disarm of the charge, and simply repeating the same process, press charge, and in this case instead of pressing shock, we're going to press this dial here, click it in, and that's going to disarm the charge for us. Cool. Therefore the charge has been disarmed. Now we're going to look at how the left side of the monitors work. After asking for consent of our patient here today, Greg, I've wired him up with the SpO2, which measures the oxygen saturations. I've also wired him up with the ECG leads, which measures the electrical activity of the heart. And I haven't wired him up with the CO2, but this is our CO2 measurement, and it simply inserts to this top compartment here, like so. Cool. And that measures the carbon dioxide in the body. Cool. Now next we want to look at changing the settings on the machine, on the monitor, and simply to change between different modes such as ECG mode, SpO2 mode, 1, 2, 3 and AVF. You simply press lead, and we've got varying options at the bottom here. So we want to test out 1, 2 and 3 mode, like so. Has produced some graphs of the varying stages. Likewise, we can use the setting of putting it into 2, 3 and AVF mode, likewise with the graphs, and then we also have the last option of putting it into ECG and SpO2 modes, where the SpO2 is located on this graph and the ECG is on this one, as well as the 2. The next thing you want to look at is adjusting the amplitude of the graphs, and simply pressing size and scrolling to increase, or scrolling back to reduce. In this case we'll press up to increase to 2.5, and you should see the amplitudes of the graphs increase. The next thing we want to check for personalization is the sound. So quickly use the scroll to the heart rate box, click on that, click on it again, and then adjust the sound accordingly, whether you want to increase it or decrease it. So the next thing we want to look at is how does the non-invasive blood pressure cuff, and as located on the back compartment, I can apply this to the patient following consent, and simply by pressing the non-invasive blood pressure button, this can give us an accurate heart rate and blood pressure of the patient. And the other thing you want to check is that we have a printer here that it is refilled. At the stage it is refilled, so it's quite good. Now, once you're finished using this, you want to turn it off. So you press the on button, switches the whole machine off, and you want to charge it back up so it's ready for next use. Cool. Now we're going to carry out vital signs. The first thing you must do before carrying out a vital sign assessment is gain patient consent. Today's patient is Greg. Hey Greg, is it okay if I carry out a vital signs assessment? This requires me to feel for a radial pulse and also listen to your lungs as well as carry out a blood pressure. Is that okay with you?
That'll be alright.
Now we're going to feel for a pulse for 15 seconds. Cool. So within that 15 seconds I felt a 20 beats. So times that by 4 gives us 80. So that falls within our 60 to 80 beats per minute range for heart rate. So he's in normal range. The other thing I also got from the assessment was I was watching his lungs, his rest rate. So I seen that his chest rose 4 times. So 4 times 4 is 16, which gives us a rest rate of 16. So that falls within the good rest rate range, which is between 12 and 20. Now the next thing I'm going to do is carry out a more accurate respiratory assessment, and this requires me to use my stethoscope and search around the apexes, which there are 8 in the front and 8 in the back. At this stage we're just going to carry out the 4 on the one lung. Cool. So we want to feel at the top apex, cool. And that's a good apex right there, and you feel the next one. Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Now you may button your shirt up. Now, whilst doing a more accurate respiratory assessment, you want to keep an ear out for things such as stridor, wheezing, crackling, or any wet sounds. Anything that's irregular that that can be important for the assessment. In this case, Greg produced a normal range. There was no stridor, there was no wheezing. There was no wet sounds, and his lungs were functioning really well, so he falls within the... We're going to carry out an accurate blood pressure of the patient simply by using the blood pressure cuff we have here, and we're going to line this up with the patient's right arm. And hey, so can you just lift your sleeve up? Yes, sure. Thank you, no worries. And then we're going to use the arrows indicated on the cuff to line up with the brachial artery of the arm, which we have here. And in doing so, you want to ensure that this gauge is tight, and you want to also place 2 fingers as you use for the pulse on the brachial artery, and in doing so you want to inflate and feel for pulse. Inflate. Now I can feel a pulse. I'm just going to blow it up until I can't feel the pulse and just give it one more pump. Cool. So now I'm going to replace my fingers with the stethoscope in the event of listening to the pulse more accurately, and this way I can determine what is the systolic and diastolic. Whilst doing that, you're going to let go of the gauge here, and it's going to reduce the pressure as well as sustaining a systolic and diastolic pressure. How are you feeling there, Greg?
Yeah, good.
Cool. You can remove the blood pressure. Cool. So gaining from that, I managed to acquire a systolic pressure, which was the first beat of 120, and a diastolic where the beat, I couldn't hear the beat anymore, 80. So for a normal range person, the range is 120 over 80, and in which Greg here has the same blood pressure, so he's in the normal range, and that clears him with a good blood pressure, and that completes vital signs. Now I'll be going through what an OPA is, which stands for oral pharyngeal airway. The indications for using an OPA as when a patient is unresponsive with no gag reflex. Now, how to measure it up, the OPA with the patient, you want to measure from the corner of the mouth to the bottom of the jaw here, and as you can see, that's the right fit. The next thing you want to do is you want to tilt the patient's head back, and then you want to apply the finger thumb technique to open the mouth up. In doing so, you want to ensure the OPA is facing towards you initially, and you want to do this simply by inserting here, and that stops the tongue from rolling back. And once you get to about halfway, you want to perform a 180-degree turn, like so, and you want to slide it down into place. Now, doing this, the airway is clear. There are some complications with using an OPA. That's if the patient is responsive and has a gag reflex, their jaw is locked, in which case you can't use an OPA, or if they have clenched teeth, in which case, if you come across these complications, you can proceed with using an MPA. And now I'll demonstrate how to use an MPA, which stands for nasopharynx airway. The indications for using an NPA is if the patient is unconscious, the patient can't tolerate an OPA, or if the patient has a damaged maxilla, or they have clenched teeth. How to size it up? We look at this top part of the NPA, measure it up with the middle of the nose, and we measure the other end to the earlobe. Like so, it's the right fit for the patient. The next thing you want to do is ensure that the NPA is lubed up, so you've got a bit of lube. You want to distribute it quite evenly across the NPA, like so. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to look for the nostril that's unobstructed, and in this case is the third one. And then you want to insert like so, nice and gently. There we go. Now it's in nice and tight. We can administer here through, in case, a bag valve mask. And the complications to an MPA is that if the patient is responsive, you can't use an MPA. If there's a suspected fracture to the base of the skull, then again we can't use the MPA. Or if there's any damage to the soft tissue of the nasal area, we can't use an MPA. Today we'll be doing oxygen delivery. The indications for oxygen SpO2 less than 94%. Patients acutely short of breath, cardiac or respiratory arrest, or hypoxia, which is low levels of oxygen, and also to deliver nebulized meats. The only contraindication for oxygen is neonatal resus, unless heart rate is less than 60. How to know it's oxygen? Oxygen comes in a white container like so. At the top here, it should have a label saying oxygen, as it clearly states. So that's the container itself. The next part is the oxygen regulator. Now, the oxygen regulator tells us how much oxygen is in the tank, as well as how much we can administer through this dial on the side here to the patient. The next part we have here is we have a mask. In particular, we have the high concentration mask. The reason why we can tell is it's got a bag here which traps a high concentration of oxygen, which delivers a concentration to the patient. So we're just going to attach the regulator to the oxygen tank. So we're going to stand it up like so. On the oxygen regulator there should be some male ends, and these would slide onto the female ends of the oxygen tank, like so. Cool. So we're going to apply it like there, ensuring that this knob here is secured on tight, preferably a quarter turn, and not too tight but firm. Cool. Now that that's attached, we're just going to check how much oxygen is in the tank. So we're just going to turn the lever here, and that tells us that the oxygen tank is full and is ready to be used. The next thing we want to check is whether the dial works. Cool. And hearing that noise, it tells us that it's functional. Cool. So this oxygen tank is ready to go. Cool. So the next part I'm going to do is I'm going to hook it up to the mask. We've got a little piece down here as well as a female end here, and we want to secure that on tight, like so, just like that. And and we also want to double check at this end. This end is on as well. As you can see, it's quite good. Quite firm. Now, with this sort of mask, the high concentration mask, it takes 10 to 15 liters per minute for the patient, and this delivers 90% of oxygen to the patient, which is mostly used in respiratory arrest and maybe cardiac arrest, but in particular maybe asthmatics as well. So we're just gonna turn it to 10, and we're gonna fill up the bag like so. As you can see, we've got it filled up, and they can tell us, that's an indication that this whole setup is working. Now, for precautionary circumstances, you would always want to lie your oxygen tank down. And then the next part, you want to apply it to your patient. Our patient today is Officer Greg. Officer Greg, I'm just going to turn this on, and then I'm going to apply it to you. Is that okay, sir? No worries. So I've got this end here, like so. Sure, it's secured, and there you go, oxygen delivery done. Now the patient doesn't need it anymore. Make sure it's deflated, turn it off, turn the main tank off. Yep. And let all the remaining air out. And that's done. Now I'm going to demonstrate the C-collar application. The C-collar application abides by the Nexus rule, which stands for National Emergency X-Radiology Utilization System. The indications for using C-collar is a posterior midline cervical tenderness, and this is usually achieved on a secondary survey through palpation. The other indications are a focal neurological deficit, evidence of intoxication, painful distracting injury, or altered mental status. The next thing we want to do is explain the procedure to the patient and gain consent as well. Hi there, sir. I'm going to apply a C-collar around your neck to help stabilize your neck area. Is that okay with you?
Yep.
Yes, we have gained consent from the patient. Therefore, we can proceed with applying a C-collar. The next I will do is get my offsider here, Greg, and he will assist the patient's head using a web-like hand technique, and also his muscles to keep it in place. Awesome, thank you, Greg. The next I'll do is measure the C-collar. What I'll do is I'll measure from under the neck to the shoulder, and as you can see, there's 3 finger widths. So I'll use the same 3 fingers and apply it to the C-collar like so, and that gives me a no neck, and the adjustment has already been made. Should there be a longer adjustment, I can adjust accordingly. The next thing I'll now do is apply the C-collar to the patient, like so. Just sliding it under here. So now you want to ensure that the C-collar is nice and firm. So you've got this little strap here that locks it in place. Now the C-collar has been applied quite firmly. That is a successful C-collar application. Now we'll be going through suction. We have the LSU suction unit that's found on every ambulance in Auckland. The indications for suction is to ensure the airway is clear and to clear any vomiting that may prevent the airway. Now we're just going to, before you use this, you want to do a user test, and simply hold the test button and turn the dial to the first option. Now that the machine has turned on, it's going through all the stages. As you can see, it's already gone through 1, now it's on 2 at the moment. To proceed even more, just hold the pipe here. Try to proceed on to 3rd stage, which shows a green light. Now it's on the 4th stage. Now just to double check all those stages and to ensure that all are green lights, use the test button here. As you can see, stage 1 is green, stage 2 is green as well, stage 3 is green, as well as stage 4. Now it's ready to go. Now we're going to demonstrate how the suction unit can be applied to the patient. First of all, you want to have your patient in the lateral recovery position with the head tilted back to expose the airway. Now you want to turn on the machine to the appropriate setting, bearing in mind that there's a little hole at the tip here. Cover it with your finger, and that ensures the suction unit is working. When applying to the patient, you want to suction or insert the rigid catheter as far as you can see, and you want to suction on the way out for no more than 10 seconds. I'll just demonstrate that for you. So putting the finger over the hole, inserting as far as I can see, suctioning on the way out, no more than 10 seconds. Now the complications of using a suction unit or this type of unit is that it can induce hypoxia, it can induce vomiting, as I said, it can cause laryngospasm, and also it can affect the soft tissue inside the mouth. Now in saying that, this is the rigid catheter. When travelling on the ambulance, you want to ensure you use the soft catheter, and the same rules apply. You want to insert no longer than you can see. You want to suction on the way out, and no more than 10 seconds. Cool. Now we'll go through hemorrhage control. As you can see here, we have a patient who has bleeding to his right arm, mainly where the radius is. What we need to do first is expose the wound, like so. So as we rolled it off. The next thing you want to do is you want to clean the wound, and by doing that you want to use a saline solution as well as a gauze right here. Simply you want to apply the saline solution to any material like so, and the best way to have it is in the packet so it's still sterile. Once you've pulled it up, hold it up like so, and then you want to work with the motion from bottom up, and you don't want to wipe all over, you want to just dab slowly, and this reduces the spread of the infection as well as it gains all the bacteria out of the wound, ensuring it cleans. If need be, you could apply another saline solution to the pad and go again to help in the wound. Now that the wound has been cleaned, we can proceed with controlling the bleeding simply by using a dressing and a bandage. You want to try to use the smallest possible dressing as possible, and you want to ensure that this covers the entire wound. So we'll apply the dressing like so, and I'll get my assistant to give me a hand. Once we've got the dressing underneath, then we can apply the bandage over the top, and then we can go around in a circular motion around the wound sites, bearing in mind that after 1 or 2 wraps that we can simply turn the bandage like so, just to apply more dressing and more pressure over the wound, and this can help control the bleeding. We'll repeat this quite a number of times to ensure the bleeding is controlled. And now that you come to the end of the bandage, you simply tuck it in like so. One thing you want to check is the radial pulse of the patient's arms, just to ensure that the bandage is not cutting off circulation. Cool. So there's a radial pulse. Another thing you can do to control the bleeding, if there's still bleeding, you can apply another dressing, repeat the same steps, and at the moment the bleeding is controlled. Should there be a catastrophic hemorrhage and the bandage applied doesn't control the bleeding, we can use what we call a tourniquet. Now to apply the tourniquet, you open the strap like so, you have this facing towards you, and then you slide it up the patient's arm like so. Now you want to slide this up 10 centimeters proximal to the wound, like so. Pull the strap tight and lock it in place at the same time. Once that's tight, then you've got this windlass tool here, and you simply want to pull it out and twist as much as you can. Bearing in mind that this is a painful process, so the patient should be under some sort of pain relief. To lock the mechanism in, there's a little cubby hole here, and then you've got this little safety strap right here as well, so that locks it in quite tight. To confirm that the tourniquet is working, you can test the distal pulse of the patient. At this stage there is none, therefore the tourniquet is working. Should there be more bleeding coming out and the first tourniquet doesn't do the job, we can apply the second tourniquet, and you want to apply this proximal to the next tourniquet. Repeat the same sort of process, check the radial pulse, and then you want to document the time and date of putting the first one and the second one if necessary. Just been called out to a patient complaining of pain in his right leg. We suspect it's a tibia fracture. Now I'm just going to explain to the patient the process of how we're going to assess this situation. Hi there, sir. Now in order for me to assess the area that's affected, I need to expose some of the clothing as well as feel around the area, the affected area. Is that okay with you? Awesome, thank you, sir. So just going to roll it up like so and expose the area. Awesome. Now I'm just going to check the capillary refill. The next thing I'm going to check is the neurological functioning. So I'm just going to feel down here. Do you feel any tingling at your feet? Yes, so that's a good sign. Now we're going to use the acronym +DISC. So do you feel any pain? And if so, from 0 to 10, 0 being hardly any pain, to 10 being the worst pain ever, exactly being hit by a bus. So you're feeling 8? No, alright. So the patient's confirmed he's feeling a pain scale out of 8. The next we're going to do is we're going to expose the left leg as well, just to provide a comparison to the right. And in order for me to do that, so I need to roll up the right side of the left side as well. Is that okay with you? As you can see, into the +DISC acronym, the right leg is quite longer than the left. The other thing is there's more swelling on this side compared to this side, and it looks quite irregular to the other side. So according to the +DISC assessment, we can indeed say this is a midline fracture to the right leg, and according to his pain scale of 8 out of 10, which means a severe pain scale, we can look at administering some pain relief. Now that we have a pain scale of 8 out of 10, the appropriate drug to use, which we'll use today, is methoxyflurane. This is indicated for moderate to severe pain, which is indicated by the 8 out of 10 pain scale. A few things I need to check before giving this drug to the patient. First of all, there are a couple of contraindications in which I'm going to ask the patient. Hi there, sir, have you had any kidney failure in the past week or year or so? Cool, so he's had no renal impairment. The next thing I'll ask is, does he have any family history of malignant hypothermia? Okay, cool, no family history, so he doesn't have any history of that. Next thing I'm going to ask is, this is methoxyflurane. Have you had any of this in the past week or so? Cool, no, he hasn't. Awesome. And the last thing I want to ask is, can the patient obey commands? Because he has a GCS of 15, I think he's more capable of being able to administer this drug according to commands that I might give him. Okay. So now we covered the contraindications. Now, before giving any drug, we want to check, do a quick drug check. So first of all, this is methoxyflurane, and it doesn't expire until August next year. Now I'm just going to get one of my fellow officers to confirm this.
Okay, we have methoxyflurane, and it is currently in date.
Awesome. So the drug check has been completed. We can administer this treatment to So now how methoxyfluorine works is that there's a tube over here, and so you actually blow onto it, and then you blow out of it through the same tube, so that none of the air comes out into this sort of air. Now the drug takes about 2 to 3 minutes to take an effect. It's a self-administering drug, so you can control the rate in which you inhale and exhale. Now this is going to help with the pain relief down by your right leg, and during that process we'll be able to apply a splint during the meanwhile. Cool. Just a few side effects that methoxyfluorine gives is you feel it maybe feel a bit sleepy, you'll almost feel a bit euphoria, and you might feel a bit drowsy. But given this pain relief, it's quite effective, and it works mostly for fractures as well. Cool. So the appropriate splint we got today is a box splint, accompanied by a towel for cushioning for the patient. Just going to talk with the patient about the process. Okay, so we're just going to apply a box splint to your right leg. In doing so, my partner here is going to lift your leg up, and then I'm going to slide this underneath. Is that okay? Cool. We have confirmation. Cool. Right there, so on 3, I'm going to slide this under, and then you're going to lift the leg as well. Sweet, so cool. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And if you could just hold this in place. Cool. So we're going to use the first bandage, which we got here, and we're going to apply that to the proximal to the wound, like so. So on 3, we're going to lift it up. 1, 2, 3. So you want to tighten, but not too tight that it stops the circulation. You just want to do it quite fair, like so. Then you're going to repeat down at the distal end of the wound. Another bandage. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Slide it underneath like so. Apply little knots. And the trick with this one is that you can apply it around the foot as well to add more comfort and stability. Now that the box splint is in place and the bandages are secured, we're going to do one more assessment of the sensation in the foot. So the neurological assessment, just going to ask the patient, right there, sir, can you feel this tingling at your feet? Yes, so it's getting sensation. The other thing we're going to check is capillary refill. So I'm just going to check his foot. Cool. Capillary refill is fine. Patient is got sensation, he's got good capillary refill. Now we can move him off to the ambulance, take him to the hospital. The site has been cleared of any dangers, now we can approach. First of all, you want to check for response. Oh there sir, can you hear me? Can you hear me there sir? Cool, now I'm just going to check the patient for response to pain. Cool. Patient's not responding to pain. Next I want to check if the airway is obstructed. Put the head back and I can see that the airway is not obstructed. The next I want to check for is breathing. So I'm going to tilt the patient's head back, put my ear close to the mouth so I can hear him breathing, as well as looking at the chest for any chest rises, and I'll do this for 10 seconds. Cool, no worries. So I'm getting no breathing. The next I want to do is check for circulation, so I'm going to put my finger and feel for pulse. I'm getting no circulation, patient looks blue. Therefore I'm going to instruct my offside head, Greg, would you carry out 30 compressions of CPR while I set up the A&D. And whilst doing that, I'm going to signal to comms, requesting R50. Hey comms, requesting R50, put ETA 10 minutes, no problem, we'll carry on with CPR. Now that I've confirmed comms for that, I'm now going to put the safety pads on the patient, instructed according to the pictures, so one on the top left, and then one side right, like so. Nice compressions there, Greg. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Cool. Whilst doing so, I'm going to try to set up the ventilation.
Do not touch the patient.
Right, do not touch the patient there, Greg.
Shock advised. Charging. Stay clear of patient.
Okay, stay clear of patient.
Deliver shock now.
Stay
Press
clear of
the
patient.
orange button now.
Delivering shock.
Shock delivered.
Awesome.
Paused. Start CPR.
Okay, start CPR there, Greg. Doing great compressions. Whilst Greg is doing that, I'm going to hook up the bag valve mask to the oxygen, like so. We're going to install a OPA to the patient at the same time. Whilst doing that, we're going to quickly measure it up with the side of the mouth and the bottom of the jaw. Tilt the head back, insert the OPA like so. Given the bag valve mask, it takes 10 to 15 liters per minute, so I'm going to adjust that to the correct setting. Cool, so I've got it on 15 and it's working because the bag's filling up. Alright. How many compressions is that?
20,
20, so we can 20, so as soon as we hit 30, I'm going to
26,
apply.
27, 28, 29, 30.
Apply 1, 2, so give them 2 ventilation breaths. As you can see, the chest rose, so therefore these are effective ventilation breaths. We have on standby the suction unit,
20,
and we can use this in case the patient starts to vomit or has a
30.
Cool. I'm going to apply 2 more breaths, tilt the head back, 1, 2, and could you carry on CPR for another 30 compressions? Thank you. In this case, you want to try seek medical history of the patient, of how the accident happened, and usually you do this by bystanders. At this stage, there are no bystanders.
27,
Therefore, we have to
28,
proceed
29,
from here.
30.
Cool. 1, 2, cool. Upon the next activation of the AED, just for fatigue reasons, I'm going to switch position with Greg.
20,
He's going to come do ventilations and I'm going to do
27,
compressions
28, 29,
after this.
30.
1, 2. Okay, proceed. How are you feeling, Greg?
Getting a bit tired there.
So Greg's getting a bit tired, a bit fatigued, so we're going to switch on this next
20.
changeover.
Stop CPR.
30.
Stop CPR. 1,
Analyzing heart
2.
rhythm. Stay clear of patient.
Stay clear of patient. Now moving into the compression.
Analyzing heart
Position.
rhythm. No shock advised. Pause.
No shock advised. Pause.
If needed, start CPR.
Now I'm going to continue with CPR. 30 compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So we're going to carry another 30 compressions. 1, 2,